Recording in progress.
It was very good.
It's good. Good one.
It was a very good one. It was like, that was beautifully said.
Excellent.
It was very good. That's how you got the hands, the success hands. Dave!
And you may be sleepy and, like really relaxed mode, but maybe that's what you needed.
Like I said, it's just my flow.
You just zened into it, I think. You really zened into it.
I just spilled over the edge of the cup real languid like and just nailed it.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. All right. So this week was my choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. So like both of you, I do have other favorites I could have gone for. Some which I think you would particularly find questionable, Sophie, given that they straddle the comedy horror type thing. And others will, like more recent ones like Get Out, which we've already chatted about. Mm-hmm. So I went with a similar approach to you two of like, what do I watch a lot that I clearly must like? And for me, it's The Shining.
It's very good though, Karen. Like I just can't criticize anything about having to watch The Shining. I was like, this is good. I enjoy this.
Well, I think what's quite surprising me. So it's another 80s one. It's from 1980. But I think for me, it's probably a weird choice because it's really long. Like for me, like
it is like what, like almost 2 hours.
I think it's more than 2 hours. Yeah, it's really, yeah.
I thought it was just under. Fuck.
I don't know. So like, one of my joys about horror films is that whole 90-minute perfect. But for some reason, The Shining I go to, and it's, I'm sure it was like 2 hours and blah.
I had like 159 in my head.
Because that was the thing, like Dave was like, are we sure we're doing this?
146 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's long for me.
Oh shit.
Apparently there are different cuts.
Interesting. Okay, because
the American cut is 144 minutes. The European cut is 119 minutes.
Oh, because then I told you that then, like the last time I saw The Shining was a couple of years ago, and it was at Ritz, and they did the extended 4K extended, and I saw that for not last Halloween because of COVID, but the Halloween before. And that was a long movie. So I wonder if that was what one do we just establish was longer? The European one? No.
The European was the shortest. The American. So I think the one we have, I'm sure it was the 2 hour 20 type one because I was like, seriously, did I actually pick this? Really?
It must be, I can't even remember back to, I have one on my compute stick that I acquired. But I feel like that's probably about right. I don't know why I thought under 2 hours.
No, it's an epic.
Definitely none of them are under 2 hours.
Did you watch it in European? Like was it a European language?
I watched it in Italian, yeah. No.
Yeah.
Can you imagine just, hi, I'm such a wanker. And I need to watch English movies in a foreign language, so I feel cultured.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I put the subtitles on, obviously.
But I don't know. This film for me is one around the cusp of me actually watching horror, really, because I was scared of everything when I was really small, like super scared of everything. When kids were having sleepovers and watching Gremlins, I would be the kid that was sitting in the kitchen with their parents, drinking a glass of milk and eating cookies, chatting to them rather than watching Gremlins. That was me growing up. So I think I started watching horror properly with someone introducing me to Scream when I was maybe like 15 or something.
Do you know what I think my gateway movie was? Like I grew up watching horror, but with dad, so it was like very, very old horror, and hence like not scary. Like the 70s, like abominable, like Dr. Phoebes or Fibes or however you say his name. But I feel like the more like scary horror, mine was fucking Halloween H2O with Jamie Lee Curtis and Josh Hartnett, and I remember watching that at a sleepover as a teenager, having seen like a bunch of like old good horror and like, but like not scary. I feel like that to me as a teenager was like a bit scary, and that was my first introduction to like, you can watch a scary movie and you quite enjoy it. Because I can't remember if I told you I saw The Sixth Sense in the cinema with mum and dad and some family friends, and I was 13, and it is too scary for a 13-year-old. You know, there's a couple of scenes where like there's the one with like Misha Barton and it's like the dead person, and he goes to the bedroom, and then like you see a hand come out and grab his leg, and it's just like Misha Barton all like dead and fucked with the eye. And I remember seeing that and just sitting in the seat like, oh my god, what the fuck. So I feel like that was like, I think horror, like actual horror is too much for me. And then seeing like Halloween H2O and being like, I can do this. This is fine. It's just a bit of slashing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my issue. So Scream was my introduction, and also like that kind of quirky referential comedy type thing too. But then I went too soon into like actual scary horror and was like, I'm gonna watch The Shining. And I decided one day, I must have been like towards the end of high school, so I either was off sick on my own in the house, or I was home early, free period or whatever, and was like, I'm gonna watch The Shining. So sitting in our living room in daylight, but I'd closed the blinds, whatever, sitting really quietly, put The Shining on, scared the bejesus out of myself. My mum came home from work and couldn't stop laughing at me because I was so immersed in the film that I didn't notice her like opening the door, and it jumped out my skin. And she was like, all right, well, I'll just leave you to it then. But like, that was like my, I don't know, Thursday afternoon activity was watching The Shining. And now for some reason it is my go-to. Weirdly, like if I'm having a bad day or feeling a bit strange, like I'll put on, or I'm feeling ill, I'll put on The Shining and happily just float about with The Shining on. So last year, lockdown, no one's having a good time. So Dave got us Blu-ray The Shining because of course I need that in my life. So yeah, it was kind of an obvious choice.
Did that I understand, because it's like, okay, so I don't have like that kind of connection to it, but every time any cinema here is going to put Shining on the big screen, like I will go and see it. Just because like I like it. It's like, it doesn't matter, I've seen it like this many times, it's like I will still pay you like too much money to watch a movie I've seen multiple times, but just because it's a good movie.
It's also understandable to go and watch it at the cinema because of how beautiful it is. Like, so even what I love, like the start of The Shining,
like it's just
the
like,
driving in the
cinematic.
It is so beautiful, and also
the music, the wow, 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 wow.
That's a nice rendition, Dave. I thought you did a good job there.
Dave's just here for the sound effects, really. But like, there were several times watching this the other night there was like, I think really for me the joy of The Shining is the visual and the music. I think it works so well in combination of setting up this tension that is not released in this film, and I just love it. As I say, so when you're starting and you're just like, lovely sunshine, driving in the mountains, but solitary car on the road, drives for quite a while just so you've got this big scene with the music build up, and then eventually Big Jack Torrance arrives.
Just to jump in really quickly, I realized that like, and I don't know if it's because one of the first movies I ever saw Jack Nicholson in was The Shining, but he creeps me out in every fucking movie he is in. He is just like, and I don't know if that's like, I know he's been in normal roles, but even if I see him in a normal, oh dear, I haven't even had that much wine yet, a more normal role, just like he is such an unsettling person. And that's why I think like for this movie, I just think that like Jack Nicholson is...
Even at the start of the film when he's in the job interview, and you just get the sense that not everything is quite right when this guy's like, oh look, it's going to be real isolated, and he's like, that would bother some people but it doesn't bother me because I love the isolation and my family does too, and everything's just fine. And you're just like, everything's not fine with this guy.
He's such a weirdo.
And I mean, I think I love Jack Nicholson so much, and I love him in this film, but that's what's quite interesting was like Stanley Kubrick doing this film always wanted him. That's who was playing this role. That's who he wanted. Stephen King did not want him in it. And one of the reasons was it was so close to One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That it was like, well, everyone's going to think of him as being this mentally unwell person, and then bring him into this film, and you're starting off with like, with a bit of crazy, essentially, I think was the concern. But you're right. I think what I like about it in the general horror trope, so removing it from the Shining book, which obviously is one of the big reasons Stephen King does not like the Shining, because Stanley Kubrick changed it quite a lot. But like from watching a horror film perspective, having a character, like having an actor like him with the facial expressions he makes, and also this initial interview where he's driven all the way up to this overlook hotel, isolated hotel in the mountains, to have an interview about being the caretaker over the winter period when it's all closed down and it's just going to be him and his family, and then seeing just how like, oh, this is fine, this is not creepy, and even how he reacts during that interview where so they're having a bit of chat, seem quite comfortable. He's saying like he used to be a teacher, but actually he's a writer, wants the time to write. And then as they're chatting in the interview, they're like, oh, we've got this bombshell, this thing that might make you uncomfortable.
It casually brings up that the last fucking caretaker just like killed his family because he went like, a little bit fucking crazy, like solo in the mountains. And yeah, you're right. It's just like, I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah, like no reaction really visibly. It was kind of like, oh. And it's almost like a thanks for telling me type thing. But then the other bit that's really weird was his reaction was like, okay, well, that won't happen with us. And then it was kind of like, it was almost like my wife will get a kick out of this story because she's a real horror nut. And you're like, yeah, really? Is that what you would say when you get this story about someone hacking to pieces his daughters and wife and then shooting himself? Is that what you would say? I don't know.
It's also interesting when someone kind of outlines the plot of the movie you're about to watch quite early in the movie.
You're like, this is probably not related to you, but just letting you know this thing has happened in the past.
With an axe.
Yeah. It's just, he's such a, like, that was the one thing I couldn't get over. Just like, I think, as I said, I find Jack Nicholson unsettling in almost everything, but he's so good for this role. It's just, he's such the perfect mix between like, does he know too much? Is he a total creep? Is he unhinged? Is he like super normal and fine? Like it's too much. Yeah, he's fucked.
And it's an interesting one too, because you think even that kind of job, like it takes a certain kind of person to want to be that isolated, because they're told that essentially you're stuck. Like it snows and you're stuck.
You know what I did? I was just like, how many months is winter? How long have we been in lockdown for? And then I was like, oh no, I've got the internet and I can talk to people. I don't think I could do that.
Because it's all raised with like, why are you not keeping this out open over winter? Because it would be amazing for skiing and whatnot. And they're like, essentially it's too big, too expensive. So, and also they can't keep the road open. So you're told really, like you say, you've got this set up with this house.
You are
already been a death of quite crazy murder in this murder-suicide in this hotel. But also we're told you're going to be stuck. So we know this early on that they're going to get stuck. It's going to get snow and they are going to be completely isolated. But he's like, this is fine. And it's like, and will your wife and son be okay with this? Yep, totally fine. This is all right.
Because clearly there's been no issues in this family, and we don't think the son has, PTSD from anything else that you've done. Like it's all fine. Everything's fine.
And then we flick to his wife and his young son, Danny, and they are chatting about like the fact he's got this interview and whatever. And Danny is also super creepy. Super creepy.
He's so cute, Karen. Like, yes, he's cute with his little haircut and his little face with his shining. Oh, it's adorable.
I don't think, I have to admit, like, I think this is very well casted. I don't find anything cute about Danny Torrance. I
love Danny.
Super creepy.
Hey, did you see his knitted Apollo 11?
Oh my God, yes. Oh, that was
Danny. Oh, I was like, can I make that? And I was like, you don't have those skills. No.
I think I want us all to have that. I think it was amazing.
I'm going to write it down as a note. I'll work on it for Christmas.
Yeah. So yeah, we flash to them and they're talking about whether he's got the job, and like Danny already knows that his dad.
But he only talks about that later to Tony though. He doesn't.
Oh yeah, of course, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
So yeah, so they're just having, I don't know, breakfast or sandwiches or something, and having.
I would say it's lunch because they're having some like big old white bread sandwiches. And like he's just like double. Like he has to hold them with two hands. But yeah, so conversation about like, I wonder how dad's getting on, like it'd be nice, blah blah blah, I wonder if he's got the job. And then it's like he knows that because he talks to his little,
You're right, because
the man in his mouth.
That's our first horror scene, really. I mean, we've had some horror chat, but it's our first horror scene because so Danny is brushing his teeth and talking to Tony, which also is just that creepy. And so he's like chatting about whether he'll get this job, and Tony already knows. So his psychic self, who he talks to as Tony, says he's already got the job. He's going to call Wendy now. So yeah, his mum Wendy gets a call. Yep, got the job. They're going to do this. Where are you going?
Taking my legs then off.
But in all of this, he ends up getting a vision because Tony shows him things. So he's like, will this be okay? And that's when he gets, just a couple of visions, but really iconic visions from The Shining. One is the wave of blood coming from the elevators.
Yeah.
Which is just,
it's always made me think about like how watertight is an elevator. Like, is it so watertight that you
of course it made you think of that, Sophie.
And it all comes out. I was like, they're going to be dribbling. Like, what, like, I just want to know if I had a lift at the top of a building, I filled it with blood, for example, closed the doors, and I had it come down and open. Like, how much leakage is there going to be? Or am I going to get like a proper open those doors and have the blood spill out? Like, I don't need to answer that question, but whenever I see that, I go like, I wonder where that lift came from. Like, how many floors did I have to travel with that blood contained and like not looking
we
out?
should do an experiment.
I'm going to add that. So Apollo 11 jumper.
And can we visit the site of the Overlook? Can we all do that?
Go to Overlook Hotel. All right, blood lift, Apollo 11 jumper, go to Overlook Hotel. All right, let me know if you need me to write anything else down.
Well, also as part of this and me reliving my Shining joy, I think, Sophie, you and I should get the little green dresses and be the twin girls. Like, that would be good too.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, I'm prepared to like get your glasses and brunette up, and we can.
I'll do anything.
I've got bad news for you. Overlook Hotel was a secluded hotel. Was. So tell me why that's past tense, Dave. Why I write down matching dresses. Okay. I don't know. Keep talking.
Okay.
About yourself.
So as well as the blood, which we see again, and also just referring back to your film, Sophie, because I've been like, it's been interesting watching our three favorites together and seeing sort of parallel. Is there not also like a bloody whooshy scene in Event Horizon or something? But there was something that
it's when he starts getting like when Sam Neill starts getting like weird visions that he goes, there's like a flash that, and there's definitely he sees the doesn't he see the blood, like the fucked up blood man captain kind of like like zoomed like into his all slashed up. The guy who speaks Latin.
I think there is a proper splashy blood thing. So anyway, there's something about.
There's also there's splashy blood.
So there's the Event Horizon-y blood scene that I was thinking of when seeing The Shining, but as well as that.
You mean when they turn the gravity and the heat back on and all the blood splashes and things?
Maybe that one, but there was a bit where I was like, this is Shining. But yeah, the other, of course, very very iconic Shining thing is the twins.
I think weren't they owned by it wasn't like the producer, but it was like just someone's twin girls, like someone who was like
were they owned by the producer?
I think they were like, I think they didn't do
a couple of girls. I can get some girls. I get some girls.
Like whether they got the same dress, we can bring the dresses.
I don't
think they hired actors. Like, I have a weird feeling that they were the daughters of someone who was involved in making the film. That could be completely wrong, but that's for some reason that's a memory of mine.
Maybe.
Anyway, so we've got the blood lift and the twin girls.
Twin girls dressed identically and just being creepy, just
creepers. They've got interesting faces for children as well.
Oh, very, very serious, quite adult, like deadpan-y.
Good voices too.
Good voices.
Come and play with us.
Forever and ever and ever. Yeah.
So understandably, Danny gets quite upset. Kind of wishes Tony hadn't shown him this crap. And has a wee episode, has a wee illness,
has a wee fall down,
and then we see him waking up with the doctor that his mum's called in, and chatting about, you know, what could he remember? Did he smell something? I don't know, but like, what did he remember? Did he have a seizure? That kind of thing. And then he mentions Tony, and his mum's like, oh yeah, it's his imaginary friend. So the doctor's asking questions about Tony and what Tony makes him do or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, I don't want to talk about Tony anymore. So the doctor asks them to rest, leaves them, goes and has a wee chat with Wendy. Turns out the family have not been living very long where they are in Colorado. And as they're chatting, trying to find out when Tony came on the scene.
Yeah.
But in their chat, there's a discovery that there was a prior injury that meant that Danny wasn't in school, where his dad. So again, we know that Jack Nicholson's creepy character in this, but yeah, his dad had also had a moment where he'd had a bit too much to drink, was angry with Danny when he was very, very small, and had essentially, you know, I think pulled his arm out of his socket or something.
Yeah, broke it. I think, didn't he break his arm? Basically, he went to grab him.
Dislocated his shoulder, I think.
Oh, okay, dislocated his shoulder. Okay.
Which is basically pulling someone's arm off.
Yeah, it's like he pulled the small child's arm off, but the skin meant that like it still stayed like attached-ish.
But he pulled his arm off.
Yeah. And Wendy's very much like, oh, it's one of those things that could happen to anyone. And you know, she seems throughout this film as kind of
I feel like Shelley Duvall was also very well cast. It's just that she's like, there's just something like unsettling about her in a different way.
She's got
like,
a great face.
Really, and even
it's so expressive. Her face is so expressive. It's terrifying.
The other thing I find with her is the outfits that she's like. So whoever did the costume design for her stuff through this, because even that very first scene, the blue and red in her sort of overall tights type outfit, like there's just something so striking and so Kubrick with that. When you then go and see the set design, they're going, I don't know, but like that's always stuck with me as well, her outfit and how it makes her seem really gawky, and in this kind of like bland setting, she's this quite garish outfit. But yeah, so she's essentially saying it wasn't really a big deal. The doctor clearly is unconvinced, but she's like, but look, what was great about this was he has not touched a drop of alcohol since this happened. So this sort of sets the scene that alcohol has been a problem.
And maybe be a problem in the future.
Potentially. And also that the family, even before moving to the Overlook for this period, they seem quite isolated anyway from this opening scene, because they've just moved to Colorado.
Because even Danny makes the comment about there's like no one to play with around there, so there might be like more people to play with, which doesn't make any sense because like they're all going and there's going to be no one there. But like so they like 100% they seem very isolated where they are to start off with.
So strange family dynamic, clearly some problems there. And then we find them all driving up to the Overlook. And this
everything about them as a family unit is uncomfortable.
Yeah. This car scene is just like, I mean, the whole thing throughout this film is you never really see them as a family that's close at all. Like they don't, particularly, he does not seem to like his family. So she's like chattering away.
Making his faces. I would, if I was talking to someone and they were making those faces, I'd fucking slap them. Yeah. It's infuriating.
And even like his lack of patience with his kids, where Danny is clearly very, very young, quite old for his years in the way he talks. But like his dad also has no patience because he's like, I'm hungry. And it's like, well, you should have eaten. The end.
Should have eaten your breakfast.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with that particular. I mean, Jack Nicholson does a lot of problematic things in the film, to say the least.
To be honest, like him telling Danny that he should have eaten his breakfast is the least problematic.
No, I know, but I think, right, so the reason I find it interesting is it's the scene with them all together, and if you're thinking about trying to build this as a family that might have a breakdown in their relationship over time, this is the time when you might put them in a car together and have them have a bit of excitement. They're going on
you're right. It's like he says that he's hungry, like Jack Nicholson's like, we should have had you a breakfast, and then Shelley Duvall is just like, we'll get you something when we get there. So it's like it very clearly shows that like she likes her child, she's into her child, she's into caring for her child. He is just like, who are these fuckwits in my car? I'm trying to
why am I
I'm not that interested. Yeah.
And then of course,
only likes him when he realizes his son knows what a cannibal is.
Yes, I was gonna say, and then we get that story where it's just like brilliant.
So yeah, I think in the car it's at least, so you talk about like Stephen King didn't like it because there's so much crazy to begin with. Like in the car it's at least a bit ambiguous, because like with the breakfast thing it's like,
yeah,
well, it could just be a bit stern, but if you're stern, that's not like, that's still a love thing. That's still like,
yeah,
I'm strict with my kid out of love. And then when he likes the cannibal thing, it's like, yeah, they have kind of a moment. It's like,
yeah. Oh, I saw it on the television. Yeah. Because that's when Wendy brings up the fact, it's like talking about them being in the mountains, and was that
it's the Donner Party.
The Donner Party being somewhere else. And then his son asked about it, and so he talks about cannibalism, which again you'd think
like Danny says, like they ate each other up, and he's like, yep,
they had to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I enjoy that scene, but it is just it really just, it already shows that like, yes, okay, we know this family's gonna have like a breakdown in terms of their relationship, but we're already partly there.
Yeah, we're already there. Like, I mean, ultimately in this car scene, you're kind of, I mean, because again, I think when I first watched it, there's also that thing of, well, he has been driving for a really long time. He's probably just
maybe he's just grumpy. Yeah, it's like it's like he fucking drove there. He had his interview. He drove back. They packed up a bunch of things. He's had to fucking drive there again. Yeah. Danny didn't eat his breakfast. He's very hungry. You know. At
the start of the scene, like, she wakes up. Like, so like she's been asleep and he's been driving the whole time.
Yeah, so it's true.
He's a bit shirty. He's a strange man who's a bit shirty at this point.
Yeah, he's just a bit grumpy from driving.
And he just wants to be writing his book. So they get to the Overlook, just as like the usual workers are packing up, trying to get their stuff away. And met by the hotel owner, and are getting a bit of a tour of where they're going to be staying and whatnot. We've lost Danny at this point because he's
in the games room.
In the games room on his own, of course.
I am sad, but then again, it was like the movie was made in the early 80s. When is the book set?
I don't know when the book's set. I know it was in the 70s. It was.
And it's fine to leave a child by themselves.
Well, what I said, I did comment to Dave though, was like when you do flash to him in the games room, he's playing darts. So not only is he in the games room on his own, he's playing with
small child
objects.
But you know what? I love the fact that they weren't like, just play darts. And then like he goes up to collect his darts, and he is trash at darts, but it's because he's a small child. So he does this thing, he picks up his dart and he goes like this, and then he just throws it. And it's like, they're all on the bottom. It's like, he's not a good darts player, but I was like, I like that authenticity. It's like, here's some like sharp things to throw, small boy. Have a go.
So yeah, while he's in the games room, we have this kind of very awkward tour of the hotel. You know, like, oh, it's so cringy the way she gabbles on about stuff and asks
like, this is beautiful. The bit where they walk into like, they're walking into almost like, it's not even like, it's like the main, there's like a big hallly bit that's like linked to the entrance. And she's like, this is beautiful. And I was like, this is a very like big, weird, slightly ugly room that has lots of decorations. Like, is that she's just a very positive soul.
And she's very overawed at the size of the place. I mean, it really is a very grand hotel, and they're being told that like this is where people go for seclusion. Like, it's where celebrities have been, perhaps royalty, like people important.
All the best, she says royalty, and he's like, all the best people.
All the best, yes.
The best royals, because the royals have never done anything fucked up.
Oh, no, that's right. They're the best people.
And then they're taken to see their little lodgings with the room that's perfect for a child.
Oh my god, like that bit, and it's like, and I forget about it every time. And then I watch something like, here's like a little room for your son, and he goes like, just the phrasing, just like perfect for a child. And then I actually went back like so I could listen to that line again and see the room again. I'm like, it's a room with a single bed. Yeah.
So that's the thing. There's really weird chit chat while they're looking at their lodgings, but ultimately, while they're doing all this stuff, they're being told that like the maintenance is, essentially turning on heating in different parts of the house, but they can't the hotel. But they've got the run of the hotel, but this is they're going to be their little lodgings so that they can make sure that bit's always kept warm.
Yeah, because like in the main, all the rooms aren't kept. They're not heated in the winter, and it's only in like the staff area that it is. So their job is to go and make sure that pipes don't freeze over it.
Yeah. So changing the heating in different areas and also keeping maintenance going. And meanwhile, Danny on his own, we flick to him and he has a wee vision again.
Our two mates.
Yeah, we wanted some pals. Right?
He wanted some pals, and he's got some creepy small girl children who always hold hands and speak in unison and with the little creepy adult girl faces.
So he gets a wee fright, sees the girls, and he's still on his own in this big hotel, but with these scary girls. But then he is reconnected with them. There's another tour of we see that there's this big and epic maze, which is going to be important later on. Then they're told that they should. This when we get introduced to Halloran, the chef.
Yep.
Who is going to
Scatman Crothers.
That's right. So they collect Danny, and then they go and chat with, and that now it's really Wendy who's calling the shots because we're talking about kitchens.
Yes. So
women
now,
love kitchens to go.
Business side of things, they're separated. So Jack goes off with the hotel staff to chat, where she goes with the head chef.
Scatman Crothers is perhaps I could show you some locales that will be important later in the movie. Here is the walk-in fridge, which has a lock. Here is the other room, the pantry, which also has a lock.
Yeah.
Perhaps you would like to lock someone in here. So
it's okay. We can talk about all of the different legs of meat in here, but I just need to tell you that these all lock.
Yeah. So while they're in this kitchen scene, and again, Wendy's just talking nonsense about
just loving
around a big kitchen.
I just think she loves to chat to anyone because Jack Nicholson is not really providing that partner role of there's not really a back and forth with them.
And then a little bit comes out where he's referring to Danny as Doc. And this is the pet name essentially that Jack and Wendy have for their son, and he calls him Doc. The chef calls him Doc twice. Wendy picks up on it and is a bit we call him that. How did you? And it's oh well, he looks like a dog. What's up, Doc?
This is I must have heard you call him that. Anyway, he looks like a dog, but it's
you're a bit
nah, using the shitting.
And she's a bit no, I don't think so. But okay. But then we discover that he can communicate with Danny. So meanwhile, he's given a big list of all the random stuff in the food cupboard.
And then you just get that static sound that starts really low and then it gets more and more offensive. And then and he turns around and he starts talking to Danny. He asks him if he wants some ice cream, doesn't he?
In the scariest way possible.
In the scare, and again, it's this. How old is that? What, 6? I can't.
Yeah, he's really small.
But he's a very small child. Terrifying.
So then we get a little time with just Danny and Dick, and it's Wendy and Jack disappear to do some more sort out stuff, and he's left saying, I'm going to give him some ice cream, is that okay, kind of thing. But then they have a chat about how similar they are, and the fact that he calls it the shining, this being able to communicate and see things that happen, and the fact that he was able to, the chef was able to have whole conversations, I think, with his grandmother or something without even opening his mouth, trying to make Danny comfortable. But Danny clearly doesn't want to talk about this, doesn't want to talk about his Tony, he doesn't.
He just wants his chocolate ice cream, to be honest.
And then there's a bit of a chat that gets, again, quite creepy for talking to a small child, but about how memories kind of linger in spaces as well. Because there's a bit of questioning about the Overlook and what's going on there. And it's and that's where there's the chat about the burnt toast. And, we've got that saying, well, it's like a memory in the hotel where some bad things have happened. This hotel's been around since the early 1900s. So a lot of good and bad has gone down in this place, and so sometimes things could happen, but it's just memories that are there. But then Danny asks him about room 237.
237.
And clearly Halloran doesn't want to chat about it at all, and he was just essentially,
don't fucking go in there, mate.
Yeah, you got no business going there, don't do it. So then we're left with that. Like that was their little introduction to The Shining.
It's like they can both do this thing where they can talk. We've got The Shining. They can communicate. It shows you things like from the past or like the future or the present. Don't go in room 237.
1 month later.
Yeah, exactly.
Done. 1 month later. Yeah.
So the other thing I like about this film, Sophie, because I do yell it whenever it comes, but you know, it's like block capital things on the screen. So the first one's like 1 month later, and then later on it's like Tuesday.
Yeah. Like, this thing where it's like, I realized like halfway through, I was like, I haven't been paying attention to days. Should I be paying attention to days? I think there was one day when like Jack was riding on a Saturday, and I was like, oh, but like Saturday's your day off. Like that's like the only time that I actually like paid attention to the day that was. I was like, dude, you should have like slept in and gone in the maze today. Like you don't have to write today. Like you've been working hard. But yeah.
I think what I take from that, because I guess there's, apart from the fact I love yelling when I see block capitals, is that like the time escalates. So like we start from a month to then a day of a week, and then we eventually, towards the end of the film, it becomes like
I feel like I knocked this desk and everything on it the same time that
we did. So
did a similar thing, and it's just like, oh,
everything is shaking.
I'm listening.
So everything, that 1 month later, everything seems okay, and actually it's almost like idyllic, and you think, oh, well, it's been a month, they're doing great, they're only there for 5 months, this is fine.
They're smashing out, but that's a fifth of the time, Karen. Yeah. That's 20%.
And Wendy's clearly more comfortable with her kitchen. She's
loving it. She makes up your breakfast.
A lovely breakfast
cart and like wheels it around.
So she brings Jack breakfast in bed. She's brought him like perfect eggs and bacon. He slept until 11.
That's very late.
And actually, I think this is the only kind of semi-affectionate moment between anyone in this.
Semi-affectionate, yeah.
Semi-affectionate. So yeah, like he's like, oh, she wants him to go for a walk, all that stuff, and he's like, well, actually, I really should do some work. Fair enough.
He's like, even in everything he says to her, it's just like a bit aggressive. It's kind of like, she's like, maybe you can take me for a walk later, and he's like, well, maybe I should do some fucking writing, bitch. And it's just like it's just, I mean, he doesn't say that, but it's like his voice is laced with malice. Like he doesn't like anyone in his family.
And what Dave noticed in this film that I probably haven't observed before, and I don't know why, but it's the fact that like, yeah, Jack is working, but Jack is working on the book. Wendy is keeping the overlook.
Yeah, she's doing all the shit.
She's doing the job.
She's the
one like the bit where she's all in like overalls, fucking with, like the furnace or whatever it is, and she's got a little list, and you're just like, yeah.
So it's really interesting how it goes, and as the film progresses, and how angry he gets about her interrupting him when she's actually the one doing their like paid
job that the job he got hired to do. She's doing that, and he's writing his fucking book and being a terrible father and husband. And
Danny's having a jolly wee tricycle.
Oh my god! So the tricycle, as we all know, the iconic, again, more iconic scenes from The Shining, but it's Danny.
The hallways and the carpet in that place is just magnificent.
Hallways, carpets, and those very red elevators that are always terrifying.
And they make a very big point of having times when he's on the carpet, and times when he's on the floor, and times when he's on the carpet, and times when he's on the floor, and times when he's on the carpet, and times when he's on the floor. Yeah, sound right.
I love that.
Yeah, he moves from medium to medium.
Yeah, he does. He absolutely does.
So he is cycling about, and he does pass room 237.
Mm-hmm.
And you have that moment of, oh no, don't do it, don't go over there, don't do it. But he goes over, but the door is locked, so nothing happens, doesn't go in 237. You're like, and relax, this is fine.
You're like, fine, but also like, Danny, we talked about this.
Yeah, but you were told not to do it.
You shouldn't have even tried the doorknob. Like, we talked about this. That's the wrong room.
Scatman Crothers mentioned it with such foreboding.
Scatman, he was very, like, it's like he was Danny's friend, and then he was just like, don't fucking go there, I'll kill you. Like, he was very aggressive. Don't do that. So it's like, Danny, don't be fucking around with that doorknob. Just don't touch it.
And so then we do, like, because we're not really in, like, we're not in the snow yet. It's kind of sunny outside. So Wendy takes Danny for a walk around the maze, and pretty much says every 2 seconds about how beautiful it is. And I mean, there's a lot of beautiful things about this film. I mean, it's an impressive maze, but walking about with like perfectly timed, like I don't know if I would have said it was so beautiful as many times as she does, but she's really impressed.
She's enamored of the maze.
She's also impressed with almost everything she sees.
That's true.
Which is maybe a lovely way to be. I think we should all have a bit
maybe
more.
I'm the problem here. Am I too cynical? Guys, am I too cynical? Be honest. Be honest about it.
Well, also, let's face it, she probably should have left her husband. So you can't hope for the best in everything.
Yeah, he's not a good man.
I feel like if there was a maze, you would appreciate it the right amount.
Okay, thank you, Dave. That makes me feel good about myself.
But then we have this kind of creepy scene. So while they're wandering about in the maze, we cue back to Jack strutting about.
Just throwing a ball at shit. Like, he's meant to be writing. He obviously can't write. He's got like a squash ball is what it sounds like, and he's just throwing it at things, and I'm just like, mate, you're gonna break something. I was just like, all I could think of is like, that ricochets off in a way you don't know, and you've smashed it like an artwork. Like, what are you doing?
He's smashing it against like the kind of Native American motifs, and like we've established that it's an ancient Indian bird.
There was a bit where like the manager of the hotel just like real casually says that the Overlook was like built on this ancient Indian burial ground. In fact, when they were fucking building it, they had to repel attacks from the Indians, and it's like, yeah, because you built it on their burial ground.
Yeah, maybe don't.
Terrible people.
And then if you're staying there, like you're already in big kind of spiritual trouble. And then it's like you're thwacking a tennis ball off the motifs.
Be a bit more respectful. But yeah, so he's just throwing his fucking ball around it. But then there's like the beautiful creepy scene where like they're just like gallivanting in like the maze. And then it's just like him just like looking at the maze, because there's like a little replica of the maze. And then you look into the replica of the maze, but then it's the real maze, and then you hear like Danny and like Wendy.
And it's that kind of creepy, kind of more twinkly music that was happening there as he's looking.
I like that scene a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I like that, because again, that's where you're lulled into this false sense of comfort to some extent, because he's the nice breakfast in bed.
It's like
we've had the scary room, but the scary room's locked, and it's nice and sunny.
The whining.
And then we start to have problems because the snow comes in.
The snow is a real problem. I feel like the snow causes a lot of problems in this movie.
Yeah, so snow starts coming in. They know there's a snowstorm coming, and ultimately that means that they're going to be stuck. And they're secluded anyway, but this means they're properly stuck. Once the snowstorm comes in, they can't leave, and not only that, but they have problems because the telephone line doesn't work, so there's no communication out of the Overlook aside from there is an emergency radio that Wendy uses to chat and say hello, we're kind of stuck, and they're like, look, we advise the phone lines might not come back up, this often happens for like the whole of winter essentially, so leave your radio open and we'll be here if you need us.
Hunker down.
But essentially, they should be okay. They've got their TV they've been watching. They've clearly got heaps of food in the hotel.
Look at all the food. Was it that you could eat a different meal for this many days? I can't remember what he said. It was just like you could be here for a year and not have the same menu. Like there's all the meat carcasses. There's all the things, the giant cans. They're fine.
They have 50 chickens.
50 so many chickens.
So many chickens.
Yeah. All the chickens.
I don't have anything else to say about that.
Neither do I. It's like they've got all the food. You could eat a different meal every day for a year or whatever.
Yeah, so the weather is bad.
The weather's bad.
So they're stuck.
And Jack can't write.
Jack can't write.
He's got some he's got some writer's block, which like I do love that, it manifests in a certain way. And we find out about it later, but it's like, you're a rubbish writer, dude. Like, if you can't think of what to write, don't write the same sentence again and again and again for fucking hundreds of pages, you psychopath. What is happening? But yeah, he's got writer's block, for sure.
Mega got writer's block, to the point of really taking out on Wendy, because she does want to go and chat to him and talk about the challenges with snow and all this kind of stuff and what they're doing.
That thing where like they're married and they should have this kind of like this connection, and like there's
also
the only other adult,
exactly. So it's like
she just wants to be able to talk to someone, And he doesn't like it when she interrupts those.
You know, and again, watching this scene, I had to laugh, and it's not funny because he's quite mean, but I was like, Dave, it's like me working from home during the pandemic in this little space, because this is my workspace. And Dave has to keep away, basically. There's no talking to me. I'm maybe slightly nicer to you than he was to her, to the point where he is quite abusive.
Yeah, and you haven't killed me with an axe.
I haven't killed you with an axe.
Yeah.
But essentially the chat is like, she comes in, essentially breaks his concentration when he's writing.
But he's kind of okay in the beginning, right? So she comes in and they chat, and he's actually sort of fine in the beginning, and then he gets like more and more.
He gets more agitated
as the conversation goes. Yeah.
And also, I mean, I think she's understandably like concerned about the situation and about them being a bit stuck and whatnot.
Like, you just didn't hear you writing, like, it'd be good if we could do things, like, whatever. And he's just like, every time you come in here and you interrupt me, you know, he's a bit mean.
And essentially it starts off with the, like, if you're heading towards this room and you hear the typewriter, don't come in, I'm working. And then it's actually like, if I am in this space,
room, like, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
He's real, you know, and she's just a bit like, well, you've lost your mind, but I'm very good at placating.
Yeah, she's very.
So, like, I'm just going to be like, okay, no worries, I'll go. Even
I'll
though
continue
you're
to do the job.
Very unreasonable right now.
And then we've got little Danny who's playing with his cars out on the carpet.
On the carpet, which is the perfect roads. It's like, a burnt orange, a bit of like a mission brown, like the colors. Oh, I want that jumper. I want that carpet as a jumper. That's what I want for Christmas, guys.
I also just think like Danny is just such like a great wee kid who's perfectly able to entertain himself.
It's so good. Yeah.
So he's playing with his cars, and there's a ball. Yeah, a ball bounces near him,
and he's like, "Mom."
Yeah.
She didn't roll the ball towards him. It wasn't Wendy.
Yeah. And then it turns out he's actually quite near room 237 in this massive hotel where he could be anywhere in this fucking hotel. He's on the right floor in the right place, and it's just like, Danny. So he starts walking towards this room, discovers that the door is open, the keys in the door,
jar,
and then we flip away and we're like, no, what the hell are you doing?
Shouldn't have gone in that room, guys.
And around this time, and again, I never get the timings right with all this, but like clearly Jack is becoming more and more unhinged as well.
Yeah, it's part of that conversation where he's getting like aggressive.
He's getting really...
She's kind of like actively backing away, being like, okay, like I will go and it's fine.
And that's when he is really annoyed with his family, really fed up with his family, and he finds his way to their kind of ballroom bar area.
So that's after. So what I think, like, yeah, what happens is like, so she's still talking to Jack, and he's being aggressive and fucked, and he's leaving, and then like Danny appears.
Oh yes,
he's fucked up. It's
jumper.
Like
that jumper,
his jumper's broken. He's got this fucking scratch. It's like he's, you know, and so then she goes like, well, someone's hurt him. Jack and I are the only people here. I didn't fucking hurt him, and he's being like a insane piece of shit. Like he's fucking. So she shouts at him for having hurt Danny, even though in this particular case he didn't actually hurt Danny. But yeah, so then it takes Danny away, and so then Jack's like, I didn't fucking do it. So he's all pissed because...
And there's a lot of like animated...
Yeah, he's angry because like, I didn't abuse my child this time, but she accused me of it. And then, yeah, he finds his way to like...
Finds his way to the bar, and then suddenly discovers Lloyd, Lloyd the barman in this empty hotel.
Lloyd the barman, the guy from Blade Runner. Yeah. I don't know the actor's name, but he's the guy from Blade Runner.
Yeah, the guy. Yeah, sure.
Has himself a wee bourbon, falls off the wee wagon.
Yep. I'm so happy to be drinking again. And
I think we've established that like he hasn't been, and it's better for him and his family if he doesn't.
And you know, tries to pay for his bourbon, is a bit light, but like Lloyd's like, no, you're all good. This is fine. Your credit's good here. And then we then go back to their little sort of living space, and that's where oh no, Wendy comes to find them. That's what it is. Wendy
because basically
because
Jack's like, I got fucking, there's a crazy woman in room 237, like she hurt me. Danny says that to Wendy. Wendy comes to find Jack, being like, hey, so like turns out it wasn't you who hurt our child, it was like a crazy old woman in room 237, and you gotta go fucking deal with it.
And he's a bit like, well, that's all nonsense. I mean, even though he's been quite happily chatting away to Lloyd by himself.
To a ghost, sure. Like he's been chatting to a ghost. It's like he's lost his mind, but it's like, you are fucking crazy. There is no woman in 237. Yeah.
And then we head to the scene that
I feel like that's the thing. So like, you know, like it takes me like a bit to get frightened, but I feel like that is the scene that that is this, for me, like that's the scary scene in this movie, where like he goes in, but it's the bit where we'll keep going. I'll tell you the bit that actually scares me in that scene.
So he heads to the room to see what's going on, goes in, and what I love about the room is just, again, it's the setting and the avocado bathroom. So he's going up this, it's a very grand suite, essentially, room 237. And he goes up these stairs and then he heads to the bathroom, and you go into the bathroom door, and again, it's, you know, that the horror thing with a shower curtain. Oh, so like there's clearly someone behind the shower curtain. You've got this beautiful avocado bathroom. And then the woman, there is a young woman in the bath with a very distinctive kind of stoic, like doesn't say anything, stoic face. And you know what I find, I don't know about you, but I find so disturbing is the pace of everything. Everything is so slow when you're in room.
So she's like in the bath.
She's in the bath,
gets out of the bath.
And the legs.
And then she's walking. Yeah, like it's disturbingly slow.
Very Kubricky.
Yes.
So
very Kubricky. Yeah.
And essentially Jack's leering. He's leering. He's like,
there's like a skinny, pretty naked lady walking at him, and he's like, hey, I'm into this. I'm just a man.
Just a man. What are you to do? So he walks towards said study woman who, you know, doesn't even give any banter. No banter said. And goes, embraces her, kisses her.
Who kisses strangers, guys? Just like I was thinking, like in reality, I was thinking about that. I was like, if I was.
Did you attack my son? Oh, okay.
But like even I don't know. Like I just don't think I'd kiss a stranger. In reality.
I mean, he's isolated in a hotel and he's clearly not getting on with his wife. I don't know, but as he's kissing, there's a mirror behind them, and he looks into the mirror, and
turns out she's an old woman.
An old woman with her,
her just flesh, a rotted flesh, just the pieces had fallen off, and she's got bits missing.
Yeah, and that the laugh,
and that's the bit. So it's the bit where it's like because it's kind of like we're flashing between, like Danny looks like he's having a fucking sitting up,
and he's like from the mouth, because
and so we're going from one to the other, and it's the bit where like Jack is like he's making out with a pretty lady, looks in the mirror, turns out it's like a decaying old woman corpse. He realizes, he freaks out, he leaves, but it's the bit where that's the laughing and the old woman following him, and that's the bit in this movie that every time I go like, oh, like that's I don't have a pillow, but I don't love it.
The bit that I find the most upsetting is not even that, it's when you then cue to looking at the old woman corpse coming out of the bath. That's the bit in that scene.
Yeah, I feel like
so it's not even her coming towards him is one thing, but see that her bobbing kind of dead. Oh, it's horrible.
I think for me, it's like it's the I guess like the bit that creeps me out is the laugh, and the laugh is then like attached to this woman coming at him. But the whole it's like once we hear the laugh and then like the rest of that scene, that's the bit that I'm like, this is a scary movie. Yeah. And then I'm done. But like I feel like every time I'm just like, this is the bit that I'm like, really.
And I think it's again all that build up because 237 was mentioned at the start. 237 Danny had tried to get into and it was locked. 237 the door was opened, but like after all that build up, we're finally in 237. We don't want to be in there.
No, it's gross.
But then Jack doesn't,
because you know who's in there? The elderly.
We hate old people whose flesh is falling off because they've been decaying actively in a bath.
Don't like it.
So he doesn't say anything to Wendy, just sort of deals with it, but then essentially
no, he says that there's no one there.
No one there.
He's taking chat and it's just like there's no one fucking there. Like Danny's a fucking little liar. Like
yeah, basically said that
there.
Danny did it to himself.
Yeah.
You know, he'd had that episode previously where he had fainted, whatnot. So he's clearly, but like he's got proper like marks in it. But
I just feel like you can't do that. I'm not going to try, but I don't think you can do that to yourself that easily.
So this starts like, I mean, I say this starts. This is really Danny and his descent. Where I don't even know if we don't really get Danny back to being Danny for the rest of the film. Danny is like Tony for a lot of time.
He's haunted for a long time.
So his only means of communicating, because Danny is so traumatized that he's just lost himself within himself, and Tony is speaking for him. So when Wendy is trying to like, I mean, there's that contrast as well when they're watching Roadrunner and you've got the meeps in the background and Danny's having breakfast and Wendy's talking to him, but it's Tony. It's Tony talking the whole time. Oh, Danny's gone. Danny's checked out. Danny has had enough.
He doesn't want to be here anymore.
And Wendy's like, crap, this is terrible. I need to get him to a doctor. This needs to happen. He's really not well. But of course, we're still in this snowstorm and there's just kind of no going anywhere. Now, where is Jack in all this? Is he still right?
It all reaches the thing where like she goes to talk to Jack and Jack's not there, and then she finds her all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
But has Jack by that point already gone back to the ballroom and met Grady? Because there's another scene where essentially Jack goes back to have more drinks, meets Grady, who's the former caretaker,
in the bathroom, and is like, you've got to fucking kill your family. Yeah.
Essentially, you have to correct them. And basically there's that.
I may say so, sir.
If I may say so.
Is that part of that first scene? No, I think that's when he goes for the drink.
No. There's
and then he goes to take
there's two scenes.
Right? Because you're definitely right, because she definitely comes and takes him away from the bar, and then he goes back to the bar, and it's now full of people.
You're right. And then he goes.
And then he catches her snooping at his stuff, and that's when it gets. So he's already been back at the bar.
He's been back at the bar. He's been told that he basically needs to kill their family because they're out of line, etc. And then he catches her being like, looking for him to be like, hey, I think we need to take Danny somewhere. And then it's like the big room with the typewriter with the fucking, as I said, like the weirdest, like if you got writer's block, just stop writing. Don't be writing the same fucking sentence.
He's encountered a lot of ghosts. He's been placed under a lot of mental strain, but I think the final straw has to be being covered in Advocat because it's just revolting.
That's right. What's his face? Yeah, that's right. He spills avocado, and that's why they had to go to the bathroom to clean him up. And it's like, by the way, you need to kill your family.
If someone spills avocado on me, I can't guarantee your safety.
No, like Dave's going to kill everyone around him because that's the rules. That's the rules, Karen.
Especially if it's snowing, because the ghost.
It's thing about the cold. Yeah, no.
I think it's so creepy and all this too, because so Grady is a kind of Jeevesy, butlery kind of like stiff upper lip, kind of this everything.
He's got like a bit of an aggressive face though.
Yeah, but he's very much like, I'm about my job. But then the edge comes out because Jack chats to him about like, no, you were the caretaker. I know you. I know your face. And he's like, no, you're the caretaker.
You've always been the caretaker.
Always been the caretaker.
The actor does such a good fucking job.
Very good.
Like, it's really, really good job of flipping from being very conciliatory to being very, very sinister. Very and it's just 100%. Great.
And then it gets that chat about how, his daughters and his wife hadn't liked the Overlook, hadn't wanted to be there, and he had to correct them. And is that correct?
It's correct. Yeah, correct as the code word for like I killed them with an axe.
Yeah.
Very disturbing.
Yeah, because they have to like it here. So then
so that's happened, and then like Wendy has gone to be like, we got to get this child to a doctor, and then she comes upon the all work and no play makes.
And is she at this point? She is carrying about a baseball bat because she is a bit scared of like there being because there's someone. She still is like there's someone's hurt Danny.
You can say that no one's hurt Danny, but like someone hurt Danny. Yeah.
So she's trying to find Jack to say she wants to get Danny to the doctor that she wants to get away. Of course, this would upset Jack anyway because, well, you know, you don't need
everything does.
Yeah. But yeah, he's not in that room, so she's looking through the papers and getting really freaked out because all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, and all the variations of the way you could put that line in paragraph formatting. I mean, pages and pages and pages and pages of it.
I had never, this is the first time I've watched it on Blu-ray, I'd never spotted how many typos there are in that.
I think I saw that for the first time when I saw it at one of the times I went to see it at the cinema. And I think it's just like, it's like big and in your face and crisp, and you're just like, yeah, fuck, he's rubbish as well. Like, not only does he have writer's block, he's really mashing those keys with
willy-nilly, just.
Yeah.
So yeah, then this...
all work and no play makes Jack.
Is this the bit, Karen, is this the bit where you want me to read it in all the different languages, or does that come later?
Please do it, Sophie.
Okay. So Karen sent me a message, everybody, earlier. It was a screenshot of, I can only assume, a Wikipedia article.
Of course, you know, my
so it turns out that in different translations, it's not the same fucking thing. So all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. In German, it is translated to never put off till tomorrow what may be done today. And in German, that is so this is like, I've been highly criticized when I lived in Switzerland for saying German things with a French accent, but I can't help it because I don't speak German. It's was du heute kannst besorgen, das verschiebe nicht auf morgen. All right, that's our German one. That was my worst one. Italian. The morning has gold in its mouth. I can do that one.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the funny thing is the Italian translation, that's 100% verbatim.
I also know. So, and Italians have weird sayings. So, to wish someone good luck, you say in the ass of the whale. Oh no, you say in the mouth of the wolf, and the correct response is in the ass of the whale.
You know what, Dave? As a pretend Italian, I didn't know that, but they fucking do. So, il mattino ha l'oro in bocca means the morning has gold in its mouth.
What is it with mouths? What is it with the Italians and your bloody mouth?
They love a fucking bocca, you guys.
All about a bocca.
The French one is weird. So it's one, here you go, is worth more than two, you'll have it. And in French, it's just it's as equally awkward. So it's un tien vaut mieux que deux tu l'auras, which literally means like one in your hand is worth more than two you will have it. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Well, that was the thing.
It's like it's because here you go is actually giving it to them, and you'll have it.
It's kind of like two birds in the hand.
Bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, or the other way around. But that's what's really interesting is when you think about what he's actually writing, you just don't get that with any of those. I guess again it's
un tien vaut mieux que
so the reason I sent you that was because Stanley Kubrick apparently not only had all of those pages with the English stuff, but with that, so that when they were releasing the versions in other languages, rather than only having the subtitle, they'd also have terrifying pages in their language.
The last one is the Spanish one, which means no matter how early you get up, you can't make the sun rise any sooner. And it's no por mucho madrugar, amanece más temprano. Oh, fuck it, yeah, right? Like none of these. And then it's got these alternative shots were not included with the DVD release, where only the English phrase "all work and no play makes Jack a duck boy." A dull boy was used. But like, I agree. It's like the English one goes like, okay, Jack has lost his fucking mind, and the other ones are a bit like, Jack has maybe lost his mind, but is he trying to say something else?
But that's what's interesting though, because I wonder, like, I like the idea, because obviously she doesn't read it out loud. She doesn't say, you are just reading it on the page. So again, to make it creepy in all those languages, having something that is an innocuous phrase like that, but over and over again.
I wonder how hard it, like, do you think part of it is like, I'm just thinking like, I don't speak any of those languages except pretend French. And I just think if you were to say all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, like that does not translate well. I don't know how you translate that effectively. So maybe that's just kind of like, here's a slightly weird saying in these languages that people will be like, why did he write that a bunch of times?
Also, I wonder, like, I don't know how like big The Shining is in all of those different countries, but like all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy is so synonymous with The Shining now. Like you wouldn't say it now and not think of The Shining.
I
wonder if the other sayings have been similarly like pushed towards this movie rather than being sayings in their own right.
I know French and Italian people. We've got to find some Spanish people and some German people, but we can ask them and we can report back.
Anyway, Wendy is understandably a bit freaked seeing all of this. We're all a bit freaked seeing all of this.
And then Jack returns.
Yay, everything's fine, you guys.
Yeah, and he's just a bit scary.
He's a bit scary. He's a bit
of course you want to leave, but we're not leaving, blah, blah, blah. And he keeps walking towards her. And then she's sort of backing up the stairs.
Just very quickly, the thing that I think, and I not thought about until you said it, it's like, he's like, basically like, I'm here and I meant to fucking look after this place. But like, as you said, it's like, he fucking wasn't doing that anyway.
No, exactly. And
you're getting aggressive.
Yeah,
because it's like we can't leave because I fucking like signed up for this responsibility. It's like, we haven't been doing it. Why are you doing that?
Wendy's looking after the kids. Wendy has been looking after the Overlook. All you've been doing is getting drunk with your imaginary friends and
then writing the same sentence poorly hundreds of times.
And I feel like Shelley Duvall does what has become by this point for her character the bare minimum in beating the fuck out of him with a baseball bat. It's one of those instances in film where like you're watching a character and you're like, what is it gonna take for you to do something about this situation?
And finally when he gets aggressive and kind of comes at you.
Because he does this
hands. And she finally goes, I feel unsafe to the point that I will use this baseball bat. Finally, and you're like, thank Christ.
But again, the only reason it seems like actually it's effective is not really because she's gone for it, but because he loses his balance and falls back. Yeah,
she thwacks him on the head.
Okay, so she does do that, but still
not that hard.
Because she's doing a lot of this, not like a bang.
Yeah, she's just like, again, it's like that very poor representation of women playing a sport. She's never used a baseball bat in her fucking life. She's swinging like a maniac. But yeah, like she hits him a little bit, and then it's because he loses his balance and then falls down the stairs. That's the only reason he gets knocked out. Like he wouldn't even get knocked out by that like tiny blow that she manages with the baseball bat.
But and then we hear her being a bit more badass because she's like, I'm gonna go and lock him up because I know about these in the kitchen.
Luckily someone told me about all the lockable things in this area.
I think we had some exposition earlier in the film.
So she manages to drag him to the kitchen and get him. She doesn't lock him in the freezer.
No,
she locks him in the pantry. And he starts, I mean, this is a quite tense scene too, because he's starting to come to just as she's pulling him in, and you're a bit like, oh, is he going to get her? Is he going to get her? Is he going to actually come to her?
Do you know what my problem is? This is when I get all of the Simpsons Halloween special flashbacks. So it's like there's the bit where like there's the altercation and you've got Homer going like, give me the bat, Marge. Give me the bat. Give me the bat. Blah, 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 blah. And it just makes these crazy. And like every time I see it, all I hear is like Homer going like, ah, ha, ha, scaredy cat. Woo! And then getting hit and then falling down. And then they're in the pantry and like she drags him in and she's just like, you stay here until like you're less crazy or something. And then as she's walking out, she goes like, chili will be good tonight. And she grabs a can of chili. And like, this is where it, like The Simpsons has ruined it for me because as like, you know, I was an early Simpsons kid, the new Simpsons I got no idea about, but I have seen all the Halloween specials too many times. And it's just like, at this stage, I get distracted now because like, I just keep hearing the Simpsons lines in The Shining. It's a problem.
Is it though?
No,
it's great. It's so fucking great. And I will share the next ones as we get there because they're very fresh. It's all I fucking heard.
So she feels safe now. She manages to lock him in.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna get Danny to a doctor,
but
everything's fucked.
But she does go and have a wee lie down. She has a wee rest.
No, is this where like she's just like, I'm gonna take him? She's like, I'm gonna fucking take him to the doctor, blah blah blah, and like I'm gonna take him in the snowcat or whatever, and he's like, surprise! I did something to the fucking snowcat, and then she goes out and realizes it has like opened it up and fucked it up. So she screams, and then it's that thing where she kind of goes like, well, I guess we're not leaving. Yeah. So then she goes to like bed.
And then we have that horrible, we start with the red rum, of course. We've got to get the red rum eventually. And we have red rum. And I say Danny wakes up. Danny/Tony. Danny's still gone. Danny is so gone.
We call him Donny or Tanny. Which one would you prefer?
Tanny, Donny. Donny, definitely Donny.
Donny.
So Donny goes to his mum and is doing
a knife. Oh, it's the knife that that's right. She got the knife. So he gets the knife and he looks at her. I like her a little because I remember when I would say I remember when I first saw it. I can't remember when I exactly first saw it, but it's that bit where you're like, what are you gonna do with that nice knife, Donny? But then it's just like, then he walks away and then it's just like lipstick.
Yeah. Lipstick, and I'm going to write red rum on the door, of course. Yeah. And Donny ends up like, but constantly red rum.
It's been really loud, and then that's right. And then he lipsticks red rum on the door, walks back to his mother, and then just aggressively and more loudly red rums whilst holding his knife until she wakes up.
Yeah, and then she looks in the mirror and sees that it says,
guys, red rum is murder backwards.
Murder backwards. Murder backwards. Murder backwards.
Yeah. So that's all happening. But meanwhile,
and this is when
in The Simpsons, Lenny walks into Homer and goes like, Homer, like some of the ghouls and I are a little concerned that you're not getting like the job done. And I feel like, and I forgot how exactly the same that was in the real one. Where he's just like, yeah, some of the ghouls and I, like, you're not getting it done. Like, what do you,
So yeah, we cue Grady down at the pantry going, you're not doing a good job. I told you to correct them. What the hell are you doing? Yeah. You're just lying down.
And he's
and also like, what I like at that point is like, when you cue to Jack, he's sitting in like a little corner with like a packet of Oreos next to him, some peanut butter. Like he's been, he's stuck, so he's just having a wee feast in the pantry.
Just all the snacks. Yeah.
Well, you're in the pantry. What else are you gonna fucking do?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like Wendy was very courteous.
Like, the place I'll lock you up, it's the place that you're not gonna die because like it's full of food and you have to shit in a bucket in the corner.
Yeah.
So
and Danny and I are gonna be on the fucking paleo diet for the next.
That's right. We're eating snow and this knife.
Snow and chicken.
All the chicken.
Nothing else.
Yeah, that's right. Only the freezer goods.
So Grady lets him out.
Guys, can we talk about ghosts interacting with solid matter? Because here is my understanding. They can't. The only thing that can interact with solid matter is a poltergeist, which is not a ghost. It's a physical manifestation of a living person or building's negative energy.
So I get what you're saying with this, but
I'll raise you they're all made up.
No, so I've got
ghosts are
my thing is, Sophie, it's the Overlook. The Overlook is actually a living hotel, right? And the Overlook decides what it wants to.
Physical manifestation of the Overlook's name.
So the Overlook decides to open its doors, just like it sometimes can decide to have blood whooshing from elevators.
Okay, I'll
go the Overlook.
There's been precedent for it because 237 opens itself.
That's true.
So it has, in fact, the very thing that we're discussing, which is a locked door being opened, has already happened.
True. So okay, I'll give you this one. So like all I'm saying is in real life that wouldn't normally happen because it would have to be someone's negative energy, but like it could be the Overlook's negative energy.
I think it's the Overlook. I think the Overlook is a being in its own right.
You're right. Because remember that time they built it on like a ancient Indian
burial ground? Yeah. Foolish.
Guys, don't do that. Don't disrespect people like that. It just comes back to kill everyone.
It's a little bit less colonialism. There's no movie.
Yeah, it's just, guys, let's talk about colonialism and how much of a problem it is.
Yeah.
We don't have time. Let's go.
We already talked a little bit about that in The Four Skulls of Jonathan Gray.
And And also a little bit in Return to Oz. It seems to be a recurring theme.
There was a lot of like stealing people's lands and fucking stuff up. Yeah, okay, so he gets let out, which is a problem because like basically Wendy's gone like, I've locked him up in the thing. We haven't been able to get away in the snowcat. I'm having a little bit of a nap, but like we'll sort it out tomorrow, I guess. And there's Jack
coming along with his axe. So they know he's coming, they hear him coming. They have closed and locked their main entrance to their little apartment.
Yeah.
But
and luckily, like Donnie's red rum woke Wendy up in time for like, there was a bit of like, oh, I'm alert now. Oh wait, my husband's trying to kill
I feel like the axe would have woken her.
Regardless, but yeah, like
she had a little bit of a extra
warning. Like when you wake up, Dave, you need like a little bit of time to adjust, and we've had that because of Donnie. So like,
let's face it, it's much better your small child waking you up holding a knife, yelling about murder, than your husband with an axe trying to murder you.
Yeah, I agree. I would rather the former than the latter for sure.
Yeah, by the narrowest of margins.
My preference is neither. Not really an option, so sure. Yeah.
So she gets Danny into the bathroom because it's yet another room that can be locked. Not very well, but
not super well. Not when you've got an axe. I feel like it's hard to lock a lot of things when you've got an axe.
Yeah. So it's another locked door, and so she opens the bathroom window because she's like, that's her escape route. But of course, it snowed so much that there's so much snow there, and also the window only opens up a little bit. But the snow being up there is quite good because she can push Danny out the window, and he just not to drop, but he just rolls down the snow.
Yeah. So it's like a thing that in any other time that would not have been a safe window to push a child out of. But now, perfect.
Very well.
He just glides down like a little sled.
So Danny's down, but Wendy can't fit. And then we get
the window, it's so small.
The build up to the scene, and we've got
the scene, yeah.
And Jack is nuts, totally nuts, and he's yelling all this stuff about the little pigs. Let me come in. And Wendy's like cowering, but she has her knife, and she's just like, she's stuck. She can't get out the window.
It's a thing, and it's that it's like that quintessential. I feel like there are a few quintessential like images from The Shining. You've gone like lift with blood, small girls, and then it's just like woman with knife against the door, screaming as an axe is like cutting through in front of her. I feel like those are your three Shining. Very shining.
Exactly. So Jack Nicholson hacking down that door, hacking the axe through, and then sticking the face in and going, "Here's Johnny."
And then, like on The Simpsons, they make the parody of they do all the other night shows. So it's like, here's Johnny, I'm Mike Schaefer, I'm Morty Wallace, and I'm blah blah. And Andy Reid's not on 60 Minutes. Like I can't remember exactly, but it's just like it's very good.
I don't think I'm not being American, didn't know the reference. And I was reading earlier.
The reference is The Shining.
But I was reading earlier, of course, on my trusty Wikipedia source, among others, but like about that was an improvised Jack Nicholson moment. And it was based on Johnny.
Was it Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
Has to be Johnny Carson.
So like late night American late night show, whatever. Yeah. Where he would say, "Here's Johnny," and so again, there was a sort of comment about that is so American that would other people really get it? Would it go in other cultures? But they did decide to keep it in because it was just Jack Nicholson messing about. But it's such a big part of his training.
I understand that reference, to be honest. Yeah, I was gonna say like The Simpsons helped me understand that reference more than I was just like, here's Johnny. I don't know, the guy's name's not Johnny, it's just a thing.
Johnny is here. Johnny AEC.
You see? Oh, I don't know how to say that in any of the other languages.
Johnny está aquí.
German.
Oh, that was Johnny is here, isn't it?
Is here? No, you already said that one. Is here.
What's Italian?
Oh, I don't know how to say here in Italian. Fuck. Hold on. You guys keep talking. I'll sort this out real quick.
So
once I work out how to use my phone.
So he has got his face in the door, but he's clearly going to be able to get through soon. So Wendy slashes him
with a knife on the hand.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty effective. He goes, "Ah!"
Oh no, it's just Johnny Equi. I did know that. Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny Equi.
And then the thing that we've kind of missed all the way through this is that
Scatman Brothers has been taking a long time.
Oh yeah, because
so
he heard about all the fucking weather.
Mm-hmm.
And then did he get?
So yeah, he's down in Florida enjoying the sunshine, escaping the winter. And yeah, he's getting more and more worried because he knows it's stormy. He's a bit concerned about his pal Danny, and he wanted to check in on how they're doing in the Overlook. So he'd been trying to call, couldn't get through because the phone lines are down. Tried to get through to the fire service who can contact them on the radio. They're also like, we've not been able to get in touch, but we'll keep trying for you.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, he's like, okay, worried. So he flies up and then gets his own
fucking cat thing.
Snowcat. And he's
like,
making his way up.
Morris.
Yeah, so he's making his way
well out of his jurisdiction. Like,
yeah,
that's a selfless act that doesn't go so well for him in the end.
No, and it
takes a long time. He flies from Florida, so he's got a 6-hour flight, like a 4.5-hour drive to get from the airport to where he picks up the snowcat. And then, like, what is it, a 25-mile drive in a snowcat that goes like 10 miles an hour?
And you're passing on the snow, like, these other cars that are overturned and everything because it's just such a bad storm. Yeah. And you're like, you're going over and above me. Totally are.
Like, you don't, like, you met this kid once, and, like, granted he's got The Shining, so you've got a connection, but it's just like, this is a lot.
And then, so he arrives. Well, so Danny has made his way back into the hotel, and he does a very Jurassic Parky kind of hiding in a slidey, mirrored cabinet-y thing, like he was scared of velociraptors.
Yeah, the velociraptors.
Yep. So he's in one of those. Wendy has slashed Jack, but Jack does do but the reason he leaves really and sort of like prowls off with his axe is because he hears Halloran arriving and going hi. So it's not like he arrives quietly and it's like,
okay,
hello, is everyone okay?
This bit really bothers me in the movie because it's like, you have come out here because you think this fucking guy has gone nuts and is trying to kill his family. Why are you announcing it? Just like fucking walk in and just check. Like, I feel like that bit just like that angers me as much as that in the movie. Where it's like, stop shouting at the person you think is killing everyone.
Just be a bit more psychic, would you? Like, you're a little bit psychic. Be a little bit more psychic than you.
Not even be more psychic. Just be subtle. Just be subtle for a second. You don't even need psychic like tendencies to be subtle. But it's like, what are you doing? But yeah, like this bit, it's like,
I think I'm the same. It's probably the bit I like least about this film is like the big build up of him arriving, and as you say, psychic guy.
He died because he was shouting.
He dies immediately.
The whole reason he has to do it is because he has to bring them another snowcat so they can leave.
Yeah,
but we need like 15 minutes of his storytelling for that to happen.
It's just like, it just didn't need to happen. Like, yeah, he didn't, like, it was more sensible.
Wendy could just be mechanically literate and be able to fix the snowcat, and then we don't need Scatman Crothers.
That's true, yeah.
Or it could even be that he's contacted the fire service and they're like, we haven't been able to contact them for a while. We're going to go up and check on them because this is actually worrying. There could be many, many other things, but he's come all the way to Florida to get killed immediately by an axe.
Instantly, he's like in there and he's shouting and like, surprise, there's Jack with a fucking axe and now you're dead. Like, what?
And then, of course,
be more psychic. You're right, Dave. Be a better psychic.
Be a bit more psychic than you're being.
Have some more second sight.
Yes. See better.
Or is it the first sight?
No, he's got second sight. He's all right.
He does, because he can see from his eyeballs. So
yeah, exactly.
Right, you're right.
So he's dead. Danny loses it. Again, understandably, his friend's dead. So he starts screaming. So he's hidden in this cabinet, but he screams. So his dad knows where he is. So Danny has to make a break for it and goes running out. And his dad's going after him. Now, thankfully, he is injured and is limping. So he's not as fast as his son. So Danny goes running into the maze. Meanwhile, Wendy has heard a bit of the commotion, has left the room. And this is when you get all of these horrible ghost scenes for her. So she leaves the room and then she's encountered a bedroom that's open with some sexual acts with someone with an animal mask on.
With an animal mask going like down on someone who looks like Jeeves.
Yeah, and they
So
just
the
look at
And they
her.
just look at her, and
Yeah.
and she seems like she recoils, and I was like, I get that they're ghosts and weird and shouldn't be there, but it seems a bit homophobic.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't get that from that, but
Phorophobic?
I just thought it was a whole creepy scene, but yeah, sure.
What's gay about dressing up like a pig?
I think it's that sucking a man's penis, which is the
I guess that's
That is a bit-
indicative of
it's
being-
not necessarily the dress ups, it's more the act.
Yeah.
I love that I don't even notice the act though, Sophie, because it's more just the heads looking that and the
Well,
leaning
it's because
forward.
it's like it's a thing where you see legs and you see him and he's gone there, and then
I didn't think about that either. I was
No.
just like, that pig's got his bum out.
And then it's like the pig turns around and then like a man pops up. He's like, I'm the owner of the legs. And where do you think that man's head was? Like, that's the, and then she recoils and I was just like, a little bit homophobic, Wendy. But I understand it's because they're probably ghost people and we shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And then there's like remnants of party everywhere. There's like balloons and stuff. She then meets the dude that's got a drink, but he's got his head popped apart.
But he's having a great time.
He's
And
having a lovely time.
they're all having a really lovely time.
And then do we also, is that when we also get the blood elevator scene again? Yeah, because she's like, the hotel has gone nuts.
It's lost it. It's like, you know what, Wendy, no more secrets. Here's all the things I've got inside of me. Welcome. And she's like, I don't want to borrow it.
No, this is terrible. This is a terrible place. And she sees the dead body of Dick Halloran. And but meanwhile, Danny is running very quickly through the maze. His dad's yelling Danny, dragging the axe, coming after him.
Yeah.
But Danny is very smart. Very smart little
like
person.
6 to 8 year old, whatever he is.
Yeah.
So he, after running for a while, getting further and further into the maze, like, of course his dad's able to follow him because there's footprints. So he cleverly backtracks through his own footprints so that he can go and hide, clear up his footprints so his dad can get to a point and then not know where he's gone. While he hides, that's exactly what happens. His dad gets there, gets confused, doesn't know what's going on. And let's face it, one thing you have to notice in all of this, understandably, it's all quite traumatic experience, but no one is dressed for the weather.
No
one.
Well, I guess like they were all inside and not planning to run outside.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
no one is appropriately.
No one is dressed for the weather. You know, even the fact that like Jack was wearing that light, weird bomber jacket, you're kind of like,
well, I mean, you want to kill your son, he's running away. You've got no time to stop and put yourself
Just chase him with your axe. Just chase him with your axe and cut him into pieces. It doesn't matter what you want. You got priorities, because the ghost man was like, we're all a little bit like ashamed of you at this stage because you're not doing a good job. So he's like, I can't change my jacket. I gotta kill my son.
it's true. So anyway, Danny manages to get back out the maze. His dad gets,
and he would have just followed the footprints again, presumably.
Yeah,
because he's a smart little
boy. Yeah. And he did. And meets up with his mom. His mom's getting them set to get in the snowcat. And then next thing we cue to Jack frozen in the maze.
He hasn't done well. It's
quite a face at the end of the film. So like,
it's very And again, then you flash back to the Simpsons where they got Homer to stop trying to kill them by putting a TV in front of him, and then he freezes to death watching the TV. But yeah, like it's just a very. He's just frozen. Yeah, he dies from exposure, everyone.
And then there's just this really lovely ending where we then go back into the Overlook, and there's a picture on the wall of a party from like the 1920s, 4th of July party. And we get zoomed closer and closer and closer, but right in the middle, front shot is Jack Torrance, who has clearly been part of the Overlook forever.
Always been the caretaker.
And he just looks much healthier than he's ever looked in the whole
He just
film.
looks happier. Just like let him be like a weird ghost entity attached to the haunted hotel. I think that's his best life. Don't worry about this modern writer bollocks with the wife and the son you're not into. Just
have been the caretaker.
Yeah, just live your life as the has-been caretaker who's now dead and linked, and you're linked, and it's a good ending.
Yeah. So
there we have it.
The Shining.
just good. I just think I can't even, it's like, I think we've all seen it many times. It's just a good movie. Yes, we've highlighted like a few issues, but like it's just a good movie, guys.
Good bit of gear. This was the third time I've seen it, I think. I haven't seen it that many times.
And also some of the times he's seen it is me putting it on, but Dave not really being here or not feeling well. And so it's kind of like, I feel he's seen it more, but he hasn't.
Yeah, whereas I mean, I've seen it, like I wouldn't be able to count the number of times I've seen it, but I don't know if that means I've seen it like an equitable number to you, Karen. I don't know how many times you've seen it. But
I don't know how many, but a lot. It's my go-to. Weirdly, I don't know why it's my go-to when I'm not feeling great, because it's not optimistic.
It's your Blackfish. I feel like that's what I use Blackfish for, which also is not optimistic, but also a documentary, so works.
I think as well, we were talking to, like, we watch a lot of horror, and it now takes quite a bit to get me scared, but there's something about The Shining, including particularly Room 237, but
it's very unsettling.
The tension is there from the start, and it's sustained. And as I was saying when we were talking about this earlier, it's the combination of the music. I was even saying to Dave, there's this bit, could even work out if it was there was the high piano-y noises in the music, but also a weird kind of cymbal-y noise. So there's really strange effects within the music that are just so effective at putting me on edge. That combined with the camera angles and like things being from Danny's perspective, like it gets me.
I really
it makes me scared. But I know you didn't quite feel the same. So
no, I like the movie. I enjoy watching the movie. I really enjoy Jack Nicholson's performance in particular. It doesn't get me viscerally, this one. Like, it doesn't get me particularly scared. I can watch the movie.
I think
enjoy the movie, but
it's like I love the movie, but the scary bit for me is there's nothing, like I find like a lot of it like creepy and unsettling, but the scary bit for me is literally only that bit in 237 where you've got the walking old woman, you've got the crazy laughter, and then you've got like the flashing, like we're flashing to Danny, we're flashing to this, and that bit. And I think it's just like the cackly woman and the walking and the like, that bit weirds me out, and to the point where I'm like, oh.
I think for me, it's like, as well, how you love an Alien that so little happens for so long, but you feel on edge. I get that with The Shining, but there is a bit more horror tropey within there. But like The Shining, something's going to happen.
Oh, for sure.
It takes such a long time to get there.
Yeah.
I think the thing for me, the difference is for me that everything's quite well explained in The Shining. Like, everything weird that happens is quite well accounted for to the point, like we're saying, we actually have someone speaking on behalf of the house saying, "Can you go and kill them, please?"
Exactly. Like exactly. It's just like some of the ghouls and I. But 100%.
Yeah. Whereas I think so some of my favorite horror films are more. There's even if they're slow, and even if once things have happened, there's a lingering unknown, there's something not explained. And I think that's what it takes to really get me, is a lingering sense of, I don't understand what the fuck is going on, and it's awful.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, like I think it's just like, this doesn't like scare me, but like I will happily watch this movie every day for the rest of my life. Like, I just think it's a very good movie.
And I think too, for me, with the film in particular, because in the book the hotel like explodes, like it goes on fire, whatever. But like,
do you remind me, like I when we watched this, I was like, I haven't read The Shining for such a long fucking time. I should actually go back and read The Shining. And then I was like, I should go back and like reread all of the fucking Stephen King things that I like. And then
there's a lot of Stephen King to read. But yeah, like I think it's also that feeling that it's going to keep happening. Because I think in the film, because the hotel, okay, it's frozen and whatnot, but it's that feeling like someone's going to be the caretaker again. This
still an economic interest there.
People are going to want to go there.
And
I think that's where it also is really unsettling, because for all Jack is dead, he's part of the overlooked community. And maybe there's the optimism, I guess, where you think Wendy and Danny have gotten away, but Danny's clearly a very unwell kid.
Yeah, Danny's got like some major problems already, and now he's got some really aggressive PTSD.
So I think, I think as well, what I was sort of reflecting on, sort of thinking about your two's favorite, my favorite, like even just silly things like, in The Thing, all the snow equipment was destroyed. They probably rightly were trying to set everything on fire. The Overlook should probably have been set on fire, like in the book. As I say with yours, Sophie, it's that isolation, but you're isolated in space. You're isolated in Antarctica. We were isolated in
Colorado.
In Colorado.
Right, like everything in all the movies we've watched, it's like just fucking set fire to it and everyone will walk away and be done with these problems. Like I just think like setting fire to each of these places would have fixed a lot of issues for everyone.
Jesus. Snuffy just came to say hello and scared the crap out of me.
Also, just to be safe, avoid colonialism and you'll probably avoid some of the problems. I mean, The Thing, we talked about The Thing, it's fucking alien colonialism that was the big problem. We had this fucking errant alien coming over, causing all kinds of fucking
No, you're right. And then fucking like Sam Neill is trying to colonize space with his magic spaceship that
space
fabric of space time. Yeah, shit.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah.
You're right. Cologne, that's what we learned from so far. So we've got one more to go. So we've got JP and Psycho next week. I think Helen is coming because she can watch Psycho.
Excellent.
She won't be able to watch our final this is a secret because you got to watch next week's episode and then find out what happens. So next week we're doing, so my father Jean-Pierre will be joining us, potentially my mother will be joining us as well, watching so JP's favorite that he agonized over. I think we got to the point where it's like he couldn't work out what his favorite was, so it was like, what is one of the movies that you've, like a horror movie you've watched the most or enjoy the most when you watch it? And so he's gone for your classic, your Hitchcock's Psycho, which will be good. I mean, obviously I presume we've all seen it at least.
Yeah, but not for a long time.
I think I've only seen it once.
I've seen it more, but then I possibly blame JP.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But and I feel like again, if you just set fire to Bates Motel, I feel like fire fixes everything, really. Yeah. But yeah, just
preferably with a flamethrower.
Preferably any film with a flamethrower. That was also lacking in this film. There was no flamethrower.
Yeah,
no,
sorry,
there wasn't.
And actually, there wasn't fire, and I think that's Stephen King's main.
There was no fire at all, was there?
So maybe if you and Stephen King got a wee chat together, you'd be like, "Yep, need some flamethrowers." Brilliant movie.
Also, what's heroin like?
Do you know, I would really like to merge our films somehow. See if we could do a Shining, Event Horizon, The Thing. Glorious.
We should contact Stephen King and offer him some heroin as a payment. Like, what's happening?
The Thing Horizoning.
Look, drug addiction is not a laughing matter. Like, we should all be real proud of Stephen King for coming out of that on the other side.
It's also given us some great grunge albums over the years.
That's true. Like, heroin's done. And what I learned, I think I might have said this in a STEMology episode rather than on this, was that heroin 800% more effective than morphine in terms of pain killing power, that I learned in a French Canadian movie called The Barbarian Invasions.
I tried to check this afterwards. I'm not sure about that because I think heroin is diamorphine, which is a prodrug, which means it gets converted to morphine. So it would have. But
then I guess the question is like, so if I was to, in the Barbarian Invasions, I remember them distinctly like smoking heroin. So it's like dark, there's like the real white one that you inject.
Yeah.
Then you can get like this, it's like a darker one, and you put it in foil and you heat it and then you like inhale it.
Yeah.
That was the one that this cancer patient was taking. And then my question is okay, that might be true, Dave, but then like what are the quantities? Maybe the amount of like whatever the heroin is that you inhale would be then, I don't know, it was just in a movie.
I feel like we can ponder this, but we've now gone wild off The Shining. Apart from the like slightly related.
Can we stop this now?
Yeah, let's stop.
And we'll ponder this.
Shining,
then we can talk.
Excellent. Next week, Psycho. JP will be here. Maybe Helen will be here. We will see.
Yeah. Thanks, team.